GRC Cruz Ramirez is a diecast that I've been mixed on ever since I first saw it. While I do like the concept of Jackson and Cruz being involved in the GRC, I know not everyone might like that, but I thought including them was pretty fun. I'm just not sure if I'm the biggest fan of Cruz's design. I've been teetering back and forth between liking it and not liking it for the last year now, and now that I finally got GRC Cruz, thanks to her 2025 re-release, I guess I'm finally gonna have to make my decision. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another review, and to another Cars Diecast review. Today, we're going to be taking a look at GRC Cruz Ramirez. Like I said before, like the title says, this is specifically her 2025 re-release. So happy to see a lot of the GRC cars return this year after a lot of them were pretty hard to get in 2024, especially here in the US. Cruz is now one of the final ones that I needed. Picked her single up a few weeks ago. I also have the 2-pack with Raul and Miguel ready to review as soon as it wins one of my polls. Now all I'm missing is Max Schnell. Like I said at the start of the review, I liked the concept of having Jackson and Cruz take part in this race. Incorporating the Cars 3 characters with the Cars 2 characters was just a really fun idea to me, and it shows kind of that progression of McQueen's journey. That now Cruz is so important to him and his racing career, and I guess Jackson kind of is too, that they get to be invited in the big TROC style World Grand Prix events. Now that we know that we probably won't be getting Jeff, Lewis, Nigel, and Rip, I definitely would have preferred them, or two of them, instead of Jackson and Cruz in this line, but still, it was pretty fun to see them. And that's coming from me, somebody who is almost always pretty exhausted from the amount of next-gen variants that we get. Cruz's artwork here looks to me like a Photoshop of her racing center design from Cars on the Road, which is kind of strange because that design is metallic. As you can see, she looks kind of metallic here, but unfortunately the Cruz diecast itself is using a flat yellow design. I've heard a lot of people talk about her wheels. A lot of people are disappointed that here on the packaging they're very clearly bronze, and here on the diecast, they're just flat yellow. I'd honestly argue that's kind of the case for all of Cruz, because again, that artwork looks pretty shiny to me, and yeah, regular Cruz coloring here, just a regular old flat yellow, which I don't mind, but just pointing that out. We have this really nice GRC card back that we've all seen 100 times by now. Number 51 there, Global Racers Cup logo there, stadium with Willie's Butte in the background, and of course the hexagon pattern that we also see on all of the diecasts. I've been a really huge fan of the GRC line. If you've seen my other reviews, you know I've had basically nothing but praise for pretty much every item in this series. On the back of the package, we can see some of the ones that are out in 2025 so far. McQueen, Jackson, Raul, Carla, and Francesco. Of course, I believe Shu and Miguel are only out in 2-packs this year, and then Max is not out until the wave. A wave after the wave with Cruz. So here is GRC Cruz out of the package, and I want to start off by saying I love that every car in this line was given a new face. It's honestly just really great, and we're seeing it again this year with Race and Rescue. Giving every item a new facial expression is so cool, and it's great that it's basically a guarantee with these mainline expanded universe lines. Cruz not only has a different eye expression than what we're used to, her mouth has also been painted in a bit of a different way. Most Cruzes that I can think of have the mouths painted in entirely in white. Here they painted in some teeth, and I don't know, it does look a kind of jarring when you compare it to other Cruz diecasts, but yeah, it's nice to see. It makes it look a little bit more different, bit of a different mouth going on there, despite the fact that it uses the exact same mold. I'm not sure how big a fan I am of the eye expression. I don't know why her eyelashes are so triangular. She's making some bold makeup choices today. It looks good. It just looks kind of strange. I'm not really sure how I land on it. I'm especially not a big fan of this really thick black outline that this Cruz has around her eyes. It reminds me of the original 2017 Dynaco Cruz, you know, the pre-metallic version that had this border. It's not the biggest fan of that border on the windshield. Yes, the Cruz I was using this whole time was the inferior early 2017 one, not the update. Haha! I just wanted to show you guys the border that used to be on Cruz diecast eyes. Easily the most, I'd say, controversial part of this design is the black hood here. The incorporation of black into Cruz's color scheme is pretty interesting. It's something that we've seen on several of the GRC cars, and I do think it works all around here. I think that incorporating the black here alongside the blue was something that could have looked pretty bad, but it works really, really well, and black, white, and blue are the main colors for the GRC, so using blue that Cruz usually has, adding the black, I think it works pretty well. I just don't know how I feel about this hood. I do honestly like it quite a bit because it's so different than what we're used to. Something that McQueen also did in the GRC with the black hood. I don't think it works as well as McQueen's does, but I do quite like whenever they take kind of bold choices when it comes to these expanded universe character designs. So often we'll get expanded universe designs that are so similar to the normal ones, doing something bold like completely changing the hood color. While I'm not the biggest fan of how it turned out and how it looks here, it is at the very least something incredibly different. The problem I have with it now is the fact that they did something incredibly similar for the upcoming rally race Cruz this year, which makes that seem like a really boring release in my opinion. I know we haven't gotten like full pictures of it, but they also changed Cruz's hood color on that item in a very similar way to this, and I'm just not a big fan because it makes the GRC Cruz look a bit less unique. The interesting thing about the blue on Cruz here is that it isn't actually her usual blue, her Dynaco blue. They gave her a lighter one that matches with the GRC color scheme a bit better. We've got the 51 up there and the GRC logo with the secondary sponsors all the cars have, Ride. Can't quite make out the second one, Ravioli and Petrola. Really interesting that they gave these to Cruz. I think I would have preferred they give her the secondary sponsors McQueen has. McQueen is sponsored by all the Radiator Springs buildings, and then cars like Francesco and the other ones, and also Jackson are given all these sponsors, primarily Italian companies from the background of cars too. So it is kind of strange to see Cruz do that, but and again, you know, they're the secondary sponsors sponsoring the racers, so if the other racers are going to have it, then it makes sense for Cruz to have it as well. I guess McQueen just got special secondary sponsors. Even the Dynaco Dinosaur is done in black, which I think was a really nice choice. It also has kind of this carbon fiber printing on it, which kind of fades in and out, just like the hexagon pattern on the roof of all the GRC cars that fades in and out and gets a bit darker and more prominent towards the back. Also, like a lot of GRC items, Cruz's yellow seems to get a little bit darker towards the back. Is that the case there? Actually, no, it doesn't seem to be. Some of these cars, the color fades to a darker one on the back. Seems like Cruz, that wasn't the case for her. I do really like the 51 in black. Honestly, while I said that the black, blue, and yellow works well, part of me kind of wishes it was entirely black and yellow. I think that could have looked really, really solid if you got rid of the blue and turned that to black, except for the GRC logos. But what we have here still works. I don't know, the GRC keeps doing these things where whenever I review one of them, I keep saying the design here shouldn't work. But it does every single time. These colors on Cruz should clash. They should not work as well as they do, but every item works really, really well. If I had to nitpick, a completely unrelated note, but something I realized when we zoomed down on Cruz here, the Dynaco logo gets completely cut off here, which is strange. On the packaging, it's supposed to kind of wrap onto the roof, and it's a shame they didn't do that. I get that, like, technically, you know, from a technical perspective, maybe they wouldn't be able to do that, but I would have loved wraparound decaling there. That would have looked really, really nice. We do have the black and blue design wrapping around to the back. Cruz's back looks like one of the desks that they sit behind when they're talking about sports on like ESPN. Is that just me? Doesn't it look like it looks like Stephen A. Smith should be behind this answering fan questions about where he'd drop in Fortnite? I really like how this looks. It looks like such like a professional logo. I don't know why. This whole design here looks like it would be a TV transition or, like I said, some sort of sports desk. That might be the weirdest comparison I've ever made in a review. GRC logo on the spoiler looking really cool. I love that it's not centered. We have GRC all the way off to the side and then just this stretched out line here. Very nice blue design with the hexagon carried over there. And finally, there is a look at the base. I am consistently impressed by the GRC line and the amount of risks they make from a design perspective. So many of these cars are asymmetrical or change major areas of the vehicle or even do little things like not centering the GRC logo. A lot of things that kind of go against conventional design or what you'd expect from a racer design. And that's what helps make them all so special. These strange color choices that shouldn't work but do. The hood being a completely different color. The back. All of these details come together to make all the GRC cars pretty much surefire hits. And honestly, while I was critical of the Race Rally Cruz earlier on, if the Race Rally cars are even a fraction as good as the GRC were, I will be very happy with that line. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.